I guess we start off with just, given that the borders are still closed, what's the update on domestic travel and to what extent are you seeing, I think, volumes recover back to pre-pandemic levels, if they are at all?
Okay, generally, Philippines is more reliant on domestic tourism. The contribution of the tourism to the whole GDP before the pandemic was at 12.8%. Domestic tourism was at 10.8%. Now, because the cases have been going down and vaccination rate has been high, specifically in the NCR, the vaccination rate, fully vaccinated, has already been at 88%. And most of the travelers are coming from NCR. So we are now under an alert level 2, which is one of the lowest. Cases have been going down. And people have been traveling from Metro Manila to the different tourist destinations. And as you've mentioned, we've been vaccinating. We have a vaccination program in our different tourism sites, namely Boracay. In Boracay alone, if you count the residents, those that have had, if it's for only tourism workers, we've already vaccinated about 91 to 92%. And including residents, eligible population, we've already vaccinated about 80%. But we expect that in 2 weeks to be 100%.
Okay, and I guess speaking of, on your earlier point, then you started this by saying a lot of it is domestic driven. To what extent can the recovery be hinged simply on domestic travel at this point?
Well, as I've said, it's about 85% of the contribution of tourism to the country. But it also helps that Balikbayans, which is our third largest market, is allowed in the country as of today. So number one would be Korea is our number one market. Number two is China. Number three is from the US. And those are mainly Balikbayans, and they're allowed. As of today, the quarantine has been reduced from 10 days to 5 days for the Balikbayans. But we're still looking at maybe lowering it so that, especially for the Christmas season, because that's when the Balikbayans start coming home, yes.
Right, and just to clarify, of course, the term Balikbayan for our international viewers.
Sorry, yes.
Go ahead. These are Philippine passport holders.
They were previously Filipinos that are now U.S. citizens or citizens of another country. Yes.
Understood. Someone like myself, I'm a permanent resident of Hong Kong, and of course, I'm looking forward to my first trip back there in about 2 years. Can I ask them about the border? Because I'm sure a lot of tourists are waiting on when they can actually then come back and visit the country. Do you have a working timetable of when you will reopen the border to foreign tourists?
We're hoping as more and more people are vaccinated, first we have to reduce the quarantine days. And second, we're hoping that, well, the Department of Tourism since last May has already been pushing for green lanes, especially for reduced quarantine days or if possible, no quarantine days for fully vaccinated. Of course, we already have no quarantine days for those countries coming from low-risk countries. We call it from the green countries. That's based on the CDC. So we're hoping to reduce the quarantine days, but we're always pushing for to reopen. But, you know, the Philippines is quite unique because we not only have foreign tourists, but we also have OFWs coming home. So hopefully with less quarantine days, we'll be able to, I've been pushing for foreign tourists, at least from green lanes, from green countries to be able to enter the country.
And do you have, I know this is a moving target and there are many moving parts. When will you hope to see that happen in terms of just having a rough timetable?
It's hard to say, but hopefully soon. Because right now, at least the vaccination, we expect by the end of the year, we've vaccinated at least 50% of our eligible population. Our population is about 108 million. So we hope to be able to vaccinate by end of the year 50% of the eligible population, which also includes ages 12 to 17, because we've already been starting vaccinating kids below 18 years old.
Right, and I'm wondering, and I'm just going to bring up an example, say of Hong Kong, for example, or other places like Singapore, where the opening of the border was somewhat also contingent on the vaccination rates in the country. Is there a similar relationship
Yes, it's very
that
similar.
you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
As it is in other countries, though we keep pushing for the reopening of the economy, reopening of tourism, it has to be balanced with health and safety. So I'm sure without compromising the health and safety of the citizens. And we have a team of health experts, and they always look at the vaccination rates. But of course, it's very positive that the NCR, the National Capital Region, we've already fully vaccinated 88% of our population.
Okay.
First dose is already 97%. So that's a big boost in reducing the quarantine days and possibly no quarantine, even from countries coming from the yellow list.
And just to clarify, where is China on that list? Because I imagine that's it being a big before the pandemic, it being a big source of tourists. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, based on the CDC, we base it on the CDC list. China is now in the green, among the green countries, including Hong Kong, Indonesia. Those are those that I remember from. But of course, this list changes because it's based on the CDC. Yes, but as I said, our number one source is Korea. Number one is Korea. Number two is China. Number three is the US.
Okay, and do you have any just general expectation on when overall, whether that's Korea, you put everything together, when tourist arrivals might be able to recover to pre-pandemic levels, or is that too difficult?
That's too difficult for pre-pandemic. I think no country will be able to give you when it's going to reach pre-pandemic levels. But we're just so happy that at least tourism is now allowed, domestic tourism is now allowed around the country. Vaccination rates are increasing. We are looking at travel bubbles, the same as other countries. But right now, the problem is, even if there are no quarantine days coming to the Philippines, going back, as you know, Asia is quite strict when it comes to quarantine. Like, for example, Hong Kong, coming to the Philippines, there's no quarantine, but going back, there's still a quarantine of 21 days. So we're hoping that as the vaccination rates are increasing, cases are going down, that the travel bubble, it's not only no quarantine days coming to the Philippines. When they go back to their countries, there's also no quarantine. So so I think that's what people are discussing right now. It's really with regard to the quarantine days. Like, David, you're coming from Hong Kong. You can come here, no quarantine, but when you go back, you have 21 days.
And that's really what's kept me from going back, if I'm being completely honest. As a final question, since you mentioned travel bubbles, are there specific people and places that you're talking to? And I know that's a moving target too, so it's not really, it's non-committal, I guess. Yes,
we've been talking to Korea. Of course, they're our number one tourists. They've been wanting to have chartered flights, Korea to Bohol, or to right now they're looking at Bohol, chartered flights from Korea. But then they're still trying to figure out the quarantine days coming back. So we're still in talks. There's no problem coming here. We could already reduce the quarantine. We can actually remove the quarantine from Korea, but their problem is now going back. But it's like in any other country. It's always a moving target. But we're looking at all the major tourist destinations. But it's really Korea that has shown interest in traveling to the country.